So what's going on today, guys? It's your boy Zazo and I'm back again for another video. So today what we have are some coding habits that you can take into 2025, this new year, and really start to propel your coding journey. So let's go ahead and get into it. So if you don't know, my name is Zazo. I've been coding for over 10 years and I've held various roles in the tech industry, roles like a software quality assurance, data engineering role. I've worked in data analytics, and I've also worked as a software engineer. So today we're going to be going into these habits to get your coding journey started off on the right path. So I know that starting your coding journey can really feel overwhelming, and there's a lot of things that you need to learn. However, building the right habits earlier on can make a huge difference. So in this video, I'm going to share some simple yet powerful habits that can really start helping you gain momentum and get you on the right track in your coding journey. Let's go ahead and get into it. So habit number one is literally the simplest, but probably the most powerful, is code every day. I know, duh. Yes, coding every day. 20 to 30 minutes is enough at this point, especially if you're newer on. You don't need to be going on hour-long coding sessions. Chances are you're not going to really retain and solidify these concepts. You might remember one or two, but those other couple hours are kind of just going to be diminishing returns. You'll do something and you'll forget about it a couple of days later. So a good example is kind of like learning a new language. That's essentially what it is. You're learning to talk to computers, right? Where if I recently went to Puerto Rico, and if I wanted to, the main language there obviously is Spanish. And if I wanted to go and interact with people, I have to learn Spanish, or I at least need to know what's being said. So the same thing goes for if you want to talk to computers and learn how to tell them what to do, give them instructions, you need to speak computer. That's essentially what it is. So in order to do that, you need to be very surrounded by, I would say, computer talk, whether that be online, social media, and that kind of thing. Get and follow people that are in this space and really learn from them and kind of just be around it, as well as coding 20 to 30 minutes a day can really go a long way. So habit number two, start small and focus on the fundamentals. So I know it's tempting, especially coding and especially seeing all these things on social media about building SaaS apps, building whatever it may be, building all these big apps. I know it may be tempting to just go ahead and start building apps. And now if you are seasoned and you have built things in the past, apps in that type of nature, then I won't say this is necessarily a bad thing. However, if you're newer, and you really haven't built anything, you're just starting, those type of things, you want to kind of steer away from that right now. You want to master the basics because it will definitely avoid frustration later on. So start small and focus on the fundamentals. Focus on things like variables, data types, loops, conditions, functions, and debugging. Debugging is a big one. Believe it or not, you'll probably be debugging more than you'll actually be building. Not now. That's also when you are a more seasoned programmer, if you would say. So start small and focus on the fundamentals, really solidify those concepts and that understanding. It's the same thing as building a house. It can look great on the outside and the inside. What's the point if the foundation is basically crumbling and cracking, right? The house will come down eventually. So that's not what we want. We want to build a strong foundation and then build from the ground up. So number three is ask questions and embrace mistakes. So when you're a beginner, you're going to have errors. Even when you're not a beginner, honestly, you're going to have errors in your code, whether it be a simple application or a advanced application. And instead of getting frustrated, get curious and really start to ask, well, why did this happen? What's different from my code as opposed to somebody else's code? Go ahead and Google. Don't just copy and paste the code to make it work. You really need to understand, well, why did mine fail? Because in the future, if you run into a same type of issue, you can troubleshoot a lot faster because you don't have to take the next step of Googling it. You know that it's a data type issue, right? Then you know how to handle that. By copy and pasting, you're not going to learn that fundamental of that debugging, which is going to do you more harm than good because you're going to have to continue to look up the same error every time you run into it, right? You're going to become inefficient at debugging. So make sure that you're asking questions, embrace mistakes, and really just remember that making mistakes is a part of learning. It's not the opposite of learning, right? We're not perfect here. Nobody's perfect. We make mistakes. The thing is that you learn from those mistakes, right? And that comes with programming, that also comes with life. So just make sure that you ask questions and you embrace these mistakes. All right, so the next habit is going to be breaking problems into tiny steps. So when a problem feels too big, you start to kind of get overwhelmed and like, oh, how am I going to do all these different parts? Oh, I need a database. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need that. So break your big problem into tiny steps. Even in your code editor, you can literally just write out, do this here, do that there, do whatever there, and break it into small chunks, right? If you're writing a program that is, let's say, a calculator, I use this all the time. The first thing we need to do is make the calculator pop up on the screen, right? So within that, you have a little bunch of little sub areas. Okay, making the calculator show up on the screen, what do I need? What shape does it need to be? How do I populate it there? All these different things, right? There's little things that go in there. And then the next thing is the first button. What do I need that to do? How do I want it to perform? Like what functions or what actions when you click it? What will it do? That type of thing. You want to break it into smaller chunks because you want to simplify these complex things, because this is a great habit for when you have a huge application that has front end, back end, database. You're going to need to break down all these simple into tiny steps, and you'll need to tackle them one at a time. And then that's what builds the application. You're not just going to sit there and just write it all down without breaking it into tinier problems. It's going to be too overwhelming. You're going to get stressed out. You're going to quit. I'm speaking because I've done it before. So just get used to breaking big problems into smaller problems. And habit number 5. So with this habit, you want to celebrate the small wins. So learning to code, I will be 100% honest to you, is one of the hardest things that I've ever learned to do. And with that comes being demotivated, feeling stressed out, imposter syndrome, a whole bunch of different emotions and stuff. So with a lot of those negative or not so great feelings, you have to celebrate these small wins. You got to get that motivation from somewhere. If you fix a bug, whether it's simple or not, that's a win. Celebrate that small win. Use that as motivation to keep going. You're going to need to do this because at the end of the day, it will stress you out at some point, but it's definitely worth it because your mind completely changes and your mindset changes when you learn things like this. If you're understanding a concept or you finish a project, just add those little wins up over time and kind of take account of where you're at now. And then, 3 to 4 months, look back on it, right? And see how far you've come. Don't just focus on now. Oh, I'm struggling with this now. See how far you've come and realize what you know that you didn't know before, and celebrate those wins. So you got to remember, all of the best programmers were once beginners like you. They had to learn the same concepts. They had to struggle, probably worse, especially if they're a little older than you. Back when ChatGPT wasn't a big thing and all that, you had to just Google, you had to Stack Overflow a lot. You had to do a lot of different other things to figure out the problems to your answers. So realize that every programmer has had tough times and problems, but you got to celebrate those small wins because that's what's going to propel you forward. Well, building these habits early on will set you up for success and make your coding journey more enjoyable and less stressful. So let me know in the comments which of these habits, or if you have any other habits that you're going to be working on in this new year. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new, like the video, and like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what habits you're working on that's going to propel your journey, because I'm going to be working on some of these same things. Even though these are tailored toward beginners, there's some of these same things that I can take and propel my skills as well, which I will be doing. Thank you for watching. Love, peace, and chicken grease. I'll see you on the next one.